I remember being at a bar on a Thursday night, maybe 3 weeks after the breakup. The music was a low, distorted thrum that I could feel in my teeth, and the air tasted like cheap gin and floor wax. I was sitting across from a girl I'd met on an app 20 minutes prior. I was doing everything in my power to convince myself I was having a good time. I was looking at this girl, watching her lips move, but I wasn't hearing a word she said. I was looking for a ghost. I was looking for the way my ex used to tilt her head when she laughed, or the specific way she'd roll her eyes when I made a bad joke. I was trying to use this new person as a human shield to protect myself from the silence of my own apartment. I ended up taking her home, and the second the door closed, the wind felt like a heavy, cold weight in my gut. I realized I wasn't moving on. I was just cluttering up my life so I didn't have to feel the void. Most guys think the best way to get over someone is to get under someone else. They think speed is the cure for pain. It's not. It's the rebound trap. It's a series of moves you make to convince the world, and her, that you're fine, while your internal world is actually a crime scene. Today, we're breaking down the mistakes that make you weaker during a rebound, and why replacement is the fastest way to lose your anchor. If you've ever used a new girl to try and evict the ghost of your ex, hit the like button. It's a trap we've all fallen into. If you want to learn how to actually heal so you can lead a real relationship again, subscribe to the channel. Tell me in the comments, how soon is too soon to start dating again? Let's get into it. 1. The emotional band-aid. The second a relationship ends, your brain goes into withdrawal. You're addicted to the oxytocin and the routine, and when it's gone, the void feels like a physical ache. The trap here is numbing. You aren't looking for a partner, you're looking for an anesthetic. You go on dates not because you're interested in the woman across from you, but because her attention momentarily stops the bleeding. I remember being with a girl right after things ended with Julia. She was great, but I didn't care about her. I cared that her texts filled the empty space on my lock screen. I was using her as an emotional band-aid. But here's the problem. Eventually, the band-aid has to come off. And when it does, the wound underneath hasn't healed. It's just gone soft and gray from a lack of air. A grounded man knows that the void is where the growth happens. If you don't sit in the silence, you never learn who you are without a woman's validation. By jumping into a rebound, you're telling yourself that you aren't enough to sustain your own life. 2. The comparison ghost. This is the silent killer of every rebound. You are physically with a new person, but you are mentally auditing her against your ex. You're looking for her flaws to justify why the ex was better, or you're looking for her strengths to prove you've upgraded. She doesn't get my references like she did. She's not as ambitious as she was. This is unfair benchmarking. You are comparing a day 1 connection to a year 3 connection. It's a rigged game where the new girl always loses. I remember being at dinner, and the girl ordered her steak medium well. My ex used to get hers rare. I actually felt a flash of irritation at this new person for not being someone else. When you're in the rebound trap, you aren't seeing the woman in front of you. You're seeing a blurred version of what you lost. 3. The social media flex. This is the revenge rebound. You post photos of your new fling, specifically because you know your ex is watching. You want her to see that you're thriving. This is performative recovery. You aren't dating for you. You're dating for an audience of one. Every fun photo you post is actually a coded message. I remember taking a girl to a concert and spending more time checking my phone to see if my ex had viewed my story than I did actually watching the band. If your happiness requires an audience, it isn't happiness, it's a stunt. And the second the camera is off, you feel twice as empty. A man who is a true anchor doesn't need to flex his recovery. He recovers in the dark. 4. The dopamine crash. There is a moment in every rebound, usually about 4 weeks in, where the newness wears off. I call this the false peak. Initially, the novelty gives you a dopamine spike that mimics healing. You think, I'm over her, look at me go. But then, the novelty fades. You realize you still have the same problems, the same insecurities, and the same hole in your chest. The crash that follows the false peak is often worse than the original breakup, because now you feel like you failed at moving on. You realized you've just been running on a treadmill in a dark room. 5. The trauma bond bridge. Sometimes we choose a rebound specifically because they have the same damage as our ex. We look for a familiar pain. I call this the trauma bond bridge. If your ex was a manipulator who used stonewalling or Darvo, you might find yourself subconsciously attracted to someone new who does the same thing. It feels like home, even if home was a house on fire. You aren't looking for a partner. You're looking for a new version of the same old fight. I remember dating a girl who was just as volatile as my ex. My friends asked why I was doing it. I told them we had chemistry. We didn't have chemistry. We had the same toxic frequency. 6. The digital ghosting loop. It isn't just about the physical girl in front of you. It's about the screen in your hand. I call this the digital ghosting loop. You're on a date with a new woman, but you're checking your ex's active status under the table. You're trying to use the new girl's presence as a distraction, but you're actually just multitasking your misery. I remember being at a late-night diner with a rebound. The fluorescent lights were humming, and the coffee tasted like battery acid. I was nodding along to her story, but my thumb was scrolling through my ex's photos. I was trying to out-happy her in my head. But my heart was at a resting rate of 110. I wasn't winning. I was losing twice. Once to the ex who didn't care, and once to the woman in front of me who deserved a man who was actually there. 7. The relapse crash. The most dangerous part of the rebound trap is the relapse. You spend 3 weeks crushing it with new girls, and then one night you see a specific brand of shampoo in the grocery store, or you hear a song in a gas station, and the whole deck of cards collapses. Because you didn't do the work, you have no armor. The rebound was paper thin. You find yourself sitting in your truck in the driveway, unable to go inside because the silence is waiting for you. This is the relapse crash. It's the moment you realize that all the new energy was just a loan you can't pay back. You're back at square one, but now you're exhausted from the sprint. 8. The hollow intimacy paradox. There is a specific kind of loneliness that only happens when you are physically close to someone, but emotionally miles away. I remember being in bed with a rebound and feeling more alone than I did when I was actually by myself. This is the hollow intimacy paradox. We think sex or physical touch will cure the loneliness, but it actually amplifies it. It highlights exactly what is missing. It's like eating sugar when you're actually thirsty. It gives you a rush, but it leaves you more dehydrated than you were before. You wake up next to someone whose middle name you don't even know, and the weight of the breakup hits you twice as hard because you realize how far you are from a real connection. 9. The new me mirage. We often use a rebound to try on a new personality. We tell the new girl things about ourselves that aren't true, or we pretend to have hobbies we don't have, just to distance ourselves from the version of us that the ex rejected. This is the mirage. You are building a character. But a character can't sustain a relationship. Eventually, your real self, the one that's still grieving, the one that's still angry, is going to show up, and the new girl is going to feel like she was sold a bill of goods. You are essentially lying to two people at once, and the energy it takes to maintain that lie is energy you should be using to fix your own foundation. 10. Depth versus surface. You think that a relationship is a slot you just need to fill, like a position in a company. The role of partner is currently vacant. I must hire a new one. This is the replacement fallacy. It treats women like interchangeable parts. But a relationship isn't a job title. It's a unique chemistry. When you try to replace an ex, you end up with a counterfeit relationship. It looks like the real thing from a distance, but it has no value when things get difficult. I spent a year trying to replace the specific feeling I had with one woman. I went through different people trying to piece together her personality. It was a lie. You have to let the slot stay empty until you don't need it to be filled. Look, the reason we fall into the rebound trap is because we are terrified of the void. The void is that space between who you were with her and who you are going to become. In that space, there is no validation. There is no good morning text. There is no one to tell you you're a good guy. There is just you, your short brown hair, your light stubble, and the truth. Most men will do anything to avoid the truth. They will spend thousands of dollars, stay up until 4 a.m., and lie to innocent women just to avoid sitting with themselves. But the void is where the anchor is forged. You can't be a steady man if you are constantly leaning on the nearest woman to keep you upright. Attraction is built on self-sufficiency. If a woman senses that you need her to be okay, she will eventually pull away. She wants to be an addition to your life, not your life support system. A rebound is the ultimate signal of neediness. It tells the world that you are a man who can't handle his own company. The rebound trap is just a way of delaying the work. You think you're taking a shortcut to happiness, but you're really just taking a detour through more pain. You don't need a new girl to be a man. You need a mission. You need a goal that keeps you up at night because you're excited about it, not because you're anxious. A man who stays steady doesn't rush the process. He mourns what he lost, he learns from the mistakes, and then he stands on his own 2 feet until the right connection happens naturally, not because he forced it to fill a hole. Next video, we're going to look at the loyalty test, the 3 ways a woman checks to see if you'll stay loyal to her even after she's treated you like an option, and how to set a boundary that she can't walk over. Stay steady, stay grounded. I'm Mark. This is Mark on Dating.